Good morning. Today we're going to be looking at some streaming tutorials for Banter VR. So what we're going to do first of all, because I'm a moderator in this space, I have access to this. If I press F7, you can see that I have now switched into third-person camera mode. I've left the cursor on so that you can see my cursor as it moves around, but nearly all of the same controls apply in third person as they did in first person. So if I hold the right mouse button and drag it around, you can see that I'm changing the direction of the camera. And the only difference here with first person is that I have to hold the right mouse button in order to do exactly the same movements as I did before. So if I use A and D to stray left and right perpendicular to the camera direction, and if I press A and S to move forward and back, there are two additional keys that I have to use. So if I use Q, I will strafe down, and if I use E, I will strafe up. This is all relative to the position of the camera. You'll notice, by the way, as a side effect of streaming, that it's still sending the commands to my avatar. So as I move the cursor around, it will move my hands. And that's how you can tell that the commands are being sent. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to have a quick explore with the camera. So this is Aline's 3D waffle space, and I can just gently move the camera in and out around the scene by just holding the right mouse button, as I said, and using ASDF to fly around. You'll notice that it's very smooth at the moment. In the bottom right hand corner you'll see the slider. If the slider is all the way to the right, it's very smooth. And if I move it all the way to the left, it's a lot more sudden. So for example, if I try and fly around now, the acceleration is instant and the deceleration is instant. So I can move around, but as I said, it's a lot less smooth, but it is instant. If I move it all the way to the right, you can adjust it to your own taste, and I get a much smoother experience. So for example, something that you might like to do is just experiment with some of the different types of shots that you'd like to take. So for example, if I want to focus on my avatar here, I might like to strafe the camera around while dragging the mouse button, and you can see that I sort of mechanically keep it in the center as best as I can. It's obviously not an exact science. If I wanted to do a sort of a flyby, I might decide to focus on something and then move it as I drag. So you can do quite sophisticated movements. They're obviously all very mechanical. So you have to do it. You're sort of like playing a video game, essentially, except that you're controlling a camera. If you hold the shift button, then the camera will accelerate greatly. I think it's like double the speed or something like that. This is obviously more useful for larger spaces or where you're trying to get back to the beginning of a space, such as in Tush Push. So what I'm doing there is I'm pressing A to move the camera left, and I'm moving the mouse as I do it to try and move the camera to focus on something that's interesting. Essentially, this is a sort of thing which is less is more. You don't want to move the camera too much. It's distracting, and obviously it's only really useful in very large spaces. Other things that apply while you're in camera mode is that your microphone is still enabled and the virtual microphone is still enabled. So what that means is that I'm speaking to you now, and obviously OBS is capturing my voice, and we'll go through OBS in a second, but Banter is also capturing my voice and projecting it out through my avatar. So as long as it's muted, people in the space can't actually hear me. But obviously you can hear me on this video. If you don't have yourself muted in OBS, then it will come through onto the stream. And I make it a personal habit to try and interact with the stream as little as possible, except what is necessary for the stream, just to make sure that I don't accidentally catch any background noises, vehicles driving past, and that sort of thing. And the general hum of my computer, which I'm sure is in the background. In the meantime, what I can do to try and support the stream a little is I'm going to switch back into 2D mode for a minute. Your arms will move around, like I said, during the stream. is I'm just going to put my camera person, my avatar, somewhere, if I can get out of this water, so that I'm not actually distracting in the shot. What I also like to do is make sure that I'm on megaphone, so if this is megaphone, and make sure that I'm muted. What that means is that during the recording, if something is happening in the space or I need to communicate to people in the space, I can simply press the M button for unmute and mute. So that's the sound that it makes when you unmute. That's the button it makes when you mute. And that's just useful for things like interacting with the person who's presenting, such as if there's a potential issue with the video or the screencast, if there's a problem with recording, or to inform the person that you're recording that the stream has started or you're about to stop, or to get them to sign off, those sorts of things basically. And remember, as long as you don't have your microphone enabled within OBS, only people within the space will be able to hear you. But you do have to be aware of those two things. You've got two streams of audio. You've got the audio that's coming out through OBS and the audio that's coming through into Banter. Because only the stuff that's coming through OBS will actually be captured by the stream. My audio, as we speak right now, projected into Banter, isn't being captured and won't be captured. What else? So we also have the issue of positional audio within space. So obviously at the moment there's nobody else in the space, but if somebody were talking, my camera is now the position of the in-game microphone. So if that person isn't megaphone, then in order to be able to capture them, you're going to get somewhat close in order to be able to hear what they're actually saying. So for example, if the presenter would like to make people megaphone, you don't have to worry about it too much. But yeah, just be aware of the fact that people are talking, and sometimes you might need to fly the camera near them in order to actually hear what they're saying. Obviously, we generally have a policy of, if you're going to be having an event, the purpose of the stream is normally to capture the event itself, to capture what the person is presenting. We generally don't recommend having people flying cameras around in events to pick up and stream people's personal conversations. That's not what people are signing up to in the event, and that's certainly not what I do. If I hear that somebody's having some sort of personal conversation or something, I tend to fly the camera away so that we don't pick up on that. But we do make it very clear to everybody in the events that every event that's live streamed does have one of these banners in it, just so that they know. But generally speaking, people shouldn't be talking about personal matters like this anyway during events. And talking about it in general on the platform I don't think is encouraged. So next up, we've got, let's just see if we've got anything else that we've missed. Obviously things like YouTube and the screencast, they also have positional audio. So what that means is that in this particular case, the screencast isn't actually running at the moment, but you will need to move your avatar. This is a strange quirk actually. So essentially the volume of the video player is very much based on the position of your avatar. So for example here I've placed it almost right next to that screen, but if I find that it's too loud, then what I will do is I will just literally just move my avatar back, and that's just because the volume of the video is very much based on the distance. If I navigate to another space such as Crystal Lake, remember this is a live space, so you might hear some other people in here, but I think it's a bit of a quiet time of the day. So in here, let's just have a look. Yeah, so there's a video that's playing right now, you can see, but because I was recording Banterama last week and I didn't want the audio and the video to be too loud, I deliberately moved the avatar as far back as possible. While I'm in 2D mode, if I use the tab button, you can see that I'm getting closer and closer. Yeah, so I said that the volume of that is very much based on where my avatar is. If I switch now back into camera mode, the normal controls apply, but the audio is the audio is reduced. In this particular space, so there's lots of quirks with individual spaces. I'm sorry, I'm going under the ground a little bit there. In this particular space, you notice that there are some volume controls. Remember, what comes through in the game is what comes through on the stream. So here, if I'm muting or unmuting, you can actually see on the, can you see there? It's very difficult to see in this particular video because it's so transparent. But you can see the volume control as I click. You can hear it getting louder and louder. So for example, what I would tend to do is go, I will come into a space before an event starts, I'll maximize the volume, and then I will go and hide my avatar somewhere, doesn't matter where, doesn't even need to be anywhere, it could just be completely hidden away. And then when I switch back into camera mode, the volume of the video player. This is specific to the video player. Doesn't apply to anything else. We have a guest. Yeah. So yeah. So all the rest of the rules of the camera apply as normal. It's just that now we've got that extra layer because this particular one has a video player and it has some controls. You just have to be aware that you have to set these things up. You might also notice that while you're streaming, every now and again, the user avatars.
Overlord is wanted in several other spaces.
Yeah, so that's the TTS in the background will play and will come through onto the stream. So just be aware of that. Hey, it says that. Okay, so yes, when people join, sometimes the TTS will play and that will get captured on the stream. As I said, people's personal conversations and things, that will get captured, and you just have to be aware of what's actually happening around in a particular stream. I think he's actually talking to me at the moment, but I'm going to have to leave him, unfortunately. So let's just pause the recording there.